Good afternoon and welcome back to the next edition of the Springer Nature Black Employees Network Speaker Series. I am absolutely thrilled to say that I have joining with me today Dr. Charlotte Owens. Dr. Owens, thank you so much again for being part of our series. I am so excited. As you know, we've had a few conversations and I have been literally chomping at the bit to have a conversation with you. Thank you again on behalf of all of the Springer Nature Black Employees Network. Thank you so much for carving out time out of your extremely busy schedule. Our viewers will be able to, in a second, we'll let them know how busy you are. But thank you so much for being part of this. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Can't complain. It's nearing the weekend over here at the moment, so yeah, pretty good, feeling good. So yeah, let's just jump straight in. As you know, I've been itching to have this conversation with you on so many different levels, and we've got a few questions to kind of get ourselves involved in. So the first one is, how long have you been working for your current employers? So who do you work for? What do you do? And what is your main role or responsibility?
So I've been with AbbVie now for about 6.5 years, and AbbVie is a research-driven biopharmaceutical company. I initially joined as a medical director in the clinical development area and recently transitioned into my current role as the Therapeutic Area Lead in the United States Medical Affairs team for women's health at AbbVie in October of last year. In addition to my responsibilities at AbbVie, I'm a practicing board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist and an adjunct clinical assistant professor at the Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta.
Right. So obviously, because of how busy you are, you do so much, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have a conversation with you. There's so many different strings to your bow. You're involved in so much, and congratulations on your new appointment as well. Not long ago, obviously, you was appointed.
Thank you.
So congratulations. How do you deal with all of those areas that you've just listed? So many different areas to your core job. How do you do it?
So, I think you do what you love, and then it really doesn't seem like work. One of the things is, my main responsibility, as I said, is here at AbbVie, where I oversee scientific communications, medical education, research publication efforts for women's health. And it really covers the spectrum from hormonal contraception to the management of menstrual health conditions such as endometriosis and uterine fibroids. But the unique thing for me is that, honestly, I'm able to take what I do in the clinic and still be able to apply it to the lessons that I need to bring into the research piece. So it's not really hard to do what you love, when for me right now, I'm able to practice in my given specialty on both sides. So that makes it really rewarding.
Oh, fantastic. And I think that was a really good segue actually to my next question is, and I can imagine there's probably more than three, but don't feel pressured to say was your three most gratifying accomplishments to date. Now, obviously, you've mentioned a few things that have happened quite recently, actually, within your professional career. But if you could highlight three, or even if you have more than three, we would love to hear it.
So I think I'm still living one of my most gratifying accomplishments, to be honest with you. I have the privilege of being able to deliver care at the bedside for individual patients, trained residents, and medical students, which is important. That's our future. But also, it helps me make a wider impact on the standard of care as a whole by being able to work on research and development of new therapies at AbbVie. So I think the opportunity to strive to make real change as a practicing physician has also helped inform my research efforts, because I understand what really matters most for the patients and their care and their day-to-day lives. So, so far I've been able to really draw on my experience and training to help see the development of several new therapies, FDA-approved new therapies, including a very recent approval that just happened last year for a medical treatment option for one of the most common conditions that affects the lives of women, uterine fibroids. When I look back at my life and career overall, I think one of the things that stands out to me most is having my parents not only be able to see me graduate from medical school and become a physician, but also to see them be able to see me with my patients at work. And I'm the first person in my family to become a physician, but it was really seeing my parents look at me with such pride and knowing the support that they gave me over the years paid off. So that accomplishment stood out to me, not because it was my accomplishment, but really it was theirs too. And then I think finally, to whom much is given, much is expected. So being able to give back to the community, whether it's volunteering to improve healthcare and healthcare delivery for others, or even just to be able to now be able to financially contribute to organizations that help underserved. My parents really instilled the importance of volunteering and giving back to me at an early age to help make the world a better place to live. And I believe working to accomplish this will always and continues to be the most gratifying experience I have in my life. So those are the three things I can think of.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And I think, you know, the importance, the real big impacts that your parents had, and obviously that whole pride, the look, I can imagine the look in their face, the look in their eyes, seeing you accomplish so much, and as you say, being able to kind of watch you with your clients as well, with your patients, sorry, you know, that must be such a thrilling, you know, part of their lives as well, and as you say, an accomplishment for them too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think sometimes your parents always see you as the small child that they brought into this world. So I think for them to see me in that different role, it was like, oh, wow, actually, she's grown up now.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, a point of, look what we did.
Exactly. We did.
We
You know,
that is,
and let's not forget, though, it took a village. You know, you also have your friends who
yeah,
become family. You spend so much time at work and your work family. So I think really having the support of your network and your friends and your family to uplift you, to help carry you forward, to give you advice, to keep you on track, all that's so important. It takes a village, and that's my village.
absolutely. No, that's so, yeah, that's so poignant. I remember hearing that growing up myself, actually. My parents, you know, anytime we did anything good, it was just like, yeah, it's good, but it takes a village, and it's so true. Your network comes in so many different forms. Yeah, no, that really does actually resonate with me. Um, I'm going to pull you back a little bit. So obviously we're talking about the accomplishments that you've made for right now. I want to take you back a couple of years. Um, what would you say was your experience of diversity and inclusion when you was first kind of starting your career? So let's say college, university, that kind of thing. Navigating your way through your career and in comparison to now. Does those two different times in your life look the same in regards to diversity inclusion, or does it look, you know, very, very different?
Well, it was certainly different when I started. There certainly were not many people that looked like me in healthcare or in the science and technology area. Uh, when I graduated from medical school, there weren't very many people who looked like me either, as a woman and as an African American. Though we've made some strides since then, where you're seeing more women in medicine and across healthcare and in STEM in general, as an example, there's certainly room for improvement when it comes to representation overall. I'm optimistic, though, that we're moving in the right direction, but we need to continue to work in tangible ways to make things better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think as you say, there's much work to be done, but there's definitely been a change. I definitely can see things where things are very different from even what they look like, let's say, 3 years ago. You know,
Mhm.
there's a massive change, especially with, you know, various different issues that have happened in the last, not even a year. You know, last year's summer, you know, 2020 summer was a horrific time. Not only COVID, but the murder of George Floyd and so many other different things happened last year. So yeah, I can definitely see where you come from with that. Um, kind of follows on to the next one, actually. The next question is, do you feel that the conversation of race and STEM is something that has been made a priority within academia and also within the corporate sphere? Now, with you, you obviously you guide, you guide your staff. You obviously mentor as well. So obviously they're newly coming out of the colleges and universities. Do you see any of that being a priority with the people that you work with and also within the realms in where you work?
Well, I think, many people, especially minorities, because you have been who you are your whole life, we really do appreciate that diversity is an important issue in STEM. It hasn't been a mainstream topic. I believe that discussing race, for example, is similar to topics that are taboo at work, like politics and religion in most academic professional settings. Until recently, it was really still very taboo to discuss openly. But there is also still a lack of comfort for many on this subject across all of the STEM fields. And that's going to change entirely overnight. But I do think, as you said, when you consider all of the major events that everyone had to look at last year, 2020, some of the events more familiar for others than, others that it was more foreign to. But I think what we've seen is an increase in the conversation because everyone had to witness it. Everyone is dealing with it. And even though it's uncomfortable, it seems to be a more appropriate time for those conversations in many different things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it felt like, I've said this before on a previous interview, it felt like because of Corona, we had no choice but to sit, like the whole world was on lockdown, so to speak, So even if you tried to, you would have heard about it if you hadn't seen it. And you tried your hardest to not see it. Well, I didn't want to see it personally. And then you did everything within your power not to, but it would just appear on your feed. There was no, there was no introduction, there was no forewarning, there was nothing. And because I think the whole world was in a sense of quiet, it amplified the voice of that situation a lot more. And I think for me, from my perspective, it felt a little bit like nobody had the opportunity to kind of run away from the fact of this has happened, and also of the fact that this has happened so many different times throughout the years in different countries. So yeah, it's something that was definitely highlighted loads. So yeah, it's one of those very strange ones, right?
Right.
So in terms of how things looked previously and how things look now, what kind of words of wisdom, or what things do you think, actually more so, what things do you think you would like to change, or what would you like to change in the industry, so in your line of work in STEM, for the betterment of Black colleagues coming up in the ranks that are trying to navigate their career currently?
Well, we naturally measure and value what we think matters most and what we believe impacts the quality of ourselves and what we do. So because of this, I personally believe it's important to make sure we first understand what the issues are and how we can impact change for everyone. This means bringing everybody to the table, though, with a lasting commitment, not a temporary commitment, lasting commitment to empower everyone in a safe environment to voice their opinions and to participate in development, and not only developing, but implementing positive systemic changes and best practices. Until we include everyone that's involved, and that means all of us, we don't know everything that is involved. Most importantly, I think that we need to do a better job at creating a supportive and inclusive and equitable work environment that inspires and grows diversity in STEM from an early age, all the way through their path into the academic and workforce. We need to clearly demonstrate that not only are there people that look like them, backgrounds like our own, but that we create the path for influential roles in STEM and inspire and encourage people to pursue STEM all the way through. But not only just give them encouragement, but also give them the resources to support and advise to help them make their dreams and goals a reality throughout each step of the journey. But I believe all this is possible until we get everyone at the table together, that we all hold hands, that we all commit to making a change, that we all hold each other accountable and taking action to doing things that really will make a change systemically, but also keeping the conversation going and commitment to progression as we move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. There's so many different facets to things that need to be done. But as we say, we're slowly getting there. It feels as though we're slowly getting there. And that's the encouraging thing, right? To see that things are starting to change. And this has been, I've never known of a time where I've seen so many posts of active diversity, equity and inclusion officers and, fully fledged departments with, really kind of publishing and documenting their strategies for the year and, real, again, holding themselves accountable, putting it out there for the masses, letting everyone see what they as a company are trying to do to ensure that there is inclusion. So yeah, that is one of the things that have really for me has really shown me that there is definite progression. It feels as though there's definite progression.
Absolutely.
Now you mentioned before, I'm going to roll back a little bit. You mentioned before in terms of like role models and helping the next generation within the industry. Did you have any role models? And then you mentioned your parents as well being phenomenal and really supporting you. Did you have any role models that inspired your career? And if so, what kind of impact or efforts did they have that impacted you and your career decisions?
Well, I still have role models, so I think you better have role models until you're on this earth, right? So, but again, starting with my parents and my extended family and friends, they've always been at the core of what inspired me to become a physician, to become a decent human being. One of my friends told me that, what matters is what kind of human you are. And for me, the path to be able to try to leave this earth a little bit better than when I came was between a physician and a researcher to really dedicate myself to helping others. And so everyone in my circle, everyone in my village really set the example for me and helped me establish commitment to community because they were committed to helping me. So it made I too had to be committed to helping my community. And that inspires me every day, and it always will. I learn from everyone around me. I like to believe that I learn something every day. And yes, I've had many mentors and sponsors, frankly, all along the way. Medical school and residency, there's so many docs that really were just there for me within my specialty and outside of my specialty who continue to be there. They not only provide me advice, but they provided me with opportunities. Sometimes they might get a call for something, and instead of them taking the opportunity because they were very well known, they gave me that opportunity. So really be able to not only extend of themselves, but they provided me with the foundation and the opportunity to take the next step. And even when I go back earlier, because we talked earlier about, it's important to start early in life. I remember my elementary school teachers. They provided so much foundation for me. I was skipped early in school, and I remember the impact that had on me, but my teachers were there to make sure that they nourished me and cherished me. So as far as elementary school, middle school, and high school, and in college, I had people who really gave of themselves, gave of their time, gave of their energy to really provide me with opportunities. And so I not only try to give advice, but I also try to provide opportunities, because if we are only thinking about ourselves, then we can give advice. Everyone has an opinion, but what everyone will not do is extend themselves and provide real opportunity, real platform, real steps for you to climb. And so that's what I think my mentors and my sponsors have done for me.
That is really, really good. I mean, you do hear the conversation of mentors quite a lot. And with how you've just put it just now, it sounds, even from grassroots elementary school, I mean, I can't remember going back that far, even thinking, like how you just explained your experiences through elementary, middle, and high school. I don't have those kind of fond memories, unfortunately. You know, that kind of nurturing and really kind of that hand holding. And as you say, you know, opportunities later on that came up that people kind of stepped back and said, actually, no, you go for it. That's really quite special, really quite special. And are these people still around now? The majority of the people, like obviously in your more recent side of your career, are you still, you know, working with these people? They're mentoring you still now?
Absolutely. They know me the best.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
Stayed in touch with my early mentors going back to elementary school until they transitioned in life. I stayed in touch with my academic advisor who prolonged his retirement and gave of his time and his family's time to nurture me until he transitioned in life. And I just can't forget the impact that they had. They shaped me.
Mm.
My earliest memories are of them being kind to me. My elementary school teacher, she was the head of a program that she started, the Gifted and Talented Education Program. We were fourth, fifth, and sixth grade gifted and talented education because I guess they considered us to be smart and have drive. And she dedicated herself to us. We were known as the Shane Gang. Her name was Miss Roberta Shane, and she dedicated her lives to us. We became her babies. Every year we would get pencils that had happy holidays to the Shane Gang. And I don't necessarily remember what I ate 2 days ago, but I remember that. I still have those pencils to this day. She
Wow.
came to your house to deliver your report card to your parents, to not only provide accolades, but encouragement, but also criticism about what you need to do differently to make it through this thing called life. And she didn't have to, but she did. She also made us very aware of nutrition and what we put in our bodies and how to have exercise, how to just learn. I saw my first symphony orchestra conducted by African American man by the name of Calvin Simmons. He conducted the Oakland Symphony Orchestra, and she took us there to see him. I remember the places that she took us to, the things that we learned about life and the experiences that she gave us. She gave us hope, she gave us belief, she gave us opportunity. And when you're inspired as an elementary school kid to do that, that just becomes who you are. So, and I'm eternally grateful for everything that everyone's done, because people don't have to do anything to help you. When someone extends a time, I think you owe them gratitude and you owe them the ability to pay it forward. So that's what I think is really important in life.
That's yeah, that is brilliant. I mean, everyone that we've spoken to on this series has really, same as you, has really kind of demonstrated the importance of mentorship and having that foundation, and you know, a network, as we said earlier, a network of people or individuals that can mold you, shape you, push you, and as you say, criticize you as well, right? Because when you're going wrong, you need to be told that you're going on.
I mean, even with, so even with me, that early commitment was very impactful. And in honesty, we're simply grown up versions of our childhood selves. And we need to remember that as we touch the lives of children every day.
Definitely. Oh, absolutely. That's so inspiring. I have one last question. Unfortunately, this has gone too quickly. This has gone too quick. But I have one last question, and this is something that we do like to throw in at the end after the kind of mentor question. And this question is, um, it's you know, it's evident that in terms of history and Black history and Black inventions, unfortunately, some of these stories and miraculous inventions have been lost or hidden. So I would like to know, based on, it doesn't have to be STEM related at all. It doesn't have to be anything related to your career, but do you have like an inventor story that has really resonated with you, that has really kind of made you think differently about certain areas of this type of invention or that specific industry?
Well, early on, one of the things that I was really kind of fascinated by was really coming to understand what Dr. Charles Drew did. There's a historical Black college and university medical school named after him, but what I thought was so fascinating was that he researched blood transfusion and storage, and it led to better methods for storing blood and ultimately the development of large-scale blood banks during World War II. So when you think about the fact that his innovation saved thousands of Allied lives during the war alone and continue to be a necessary medical invention for us all today. But I think it's also important to remember that Black innovators and inventors are just not people from the past, but they're actually people that are doing that today. As an example of that, I recently learned that a person responsible for the voice over IP technology, the same technology that permeates our everyday lives, especially when I travel abroad and I want to talk to someone for free or, phone, lives in, and that technology still lives in a simple but powerful way. She's a Black lady by the name of Miriam Croak, who is currently Vice President of Engineering at Google. And previously, I believe at AT&T. So when you really think about the fact that our everyday lives are made better by continued inventions, that's also very inspirational to me too in the work that I do. And it's also the reason why not only do I want to continue to deliver care, but I want to continue to innovate new treatment options so that we can all live better. And I guess it's a good thing because that's what brought me to you today. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, honestly, the pleasure is all ours. It has been an absolute delight speaking to you. And those two inventors as well, past and present, and as you say, let's not forget the present, So yeah, no, definitely. Well, thank you so much in speaking with us today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I can't believe the time has flown so quickly. I would have you here all day, as you know. So
when the pandemic gets to be in our rearview mirror, then we have to make a concerted effort to see each other. It's been an absolute delight to be with you today.
oh, thank you so much, and I will hold you to that. You know I will hold you to that, right? But thank you so much. Thank you so much, and take care of yourself, and we will catch up soon.